Good evening, people. Once again, I am back with the Parent Station Friday Expert Talks. We talk about freedom and liberty all the time and tend to embrace these notions. Different people understand freedom in different ways. For some, freedom means the ability to make your own choices. For others, it means the idea of no responsibility for their actions. So now, this word freedom has free, and this word free, and that's why it's so attractive, right? Let me just call my speakers for today.
Hi.
Uh, Hi. So today we have with us uh, a father-daughter duo, Mr. Jagat and Miss Sakshi. Welcome, Jagat and
Hello.
Sakshi.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, yeah. So I would like to talk little about Sakshi and Jagat both. Sakshi, she is a 10th grader thinking about mental health in stressful times of global epidemic by creating a platform on social media. Here, she had invited the right experts to connect with the like minded audience, spreading awareness about all the mental health tools available from the fields of scientific models like NLP, hypnosis, brain enhancement systems, and mental moods and models. And we have Jagat with us, who is the father of Sakshi and a learner and a strong believer of learning happens by a deeper understanding and teaching the same by adding more value and rich content. An engineer and a certified NLP master practitioner, hypnosis and meditation practitioner, and REM decoder, working to simplify all the available tools and thinking models for growth and awareness in young minds. So we have this power pack duo with us today. Welcome Sakshi and Jagat. Anything to the audience
Thank you.
to give a little start? Then we will start with our questions.
Yeah, sure. So let
So,
Sakshi
yeah,
begin today.
everything starts with thinking, and we don't think about thinking. Everything we do requires brain work, except if we're taking a shower or, if you're opening our phone, we don't really have to use our brains. But everything that requires our attention requires thinking. There are many ways we can utilize the way we think to get a better
Happens
outcome.
by a deeper
So,
understanding and teaching the brains. Right. But
so
everything that requires our
today
attention
we'll be talking about
requires
remodeling
thinking.
thinking and the
There
freedom
are
of
many
thinking.
ways we can
So let's hear what our coach has to say.
Okay, so Jagat, as she's saying, you are her coach. Can we work? Can we move on this word called freedom? What is all this freedom? All
Yeah,
about?
so I'll begin with a small story about Viktor Frankl. He was a psychologist, and the story comes from the time of around Second World War. And he was imprisoned in the Jewish jail, the concentration camp, as we understand. And in that, he experienced many things. And because he was a psychologist, he could study things uh, from his, different perspective from than a common man. And he found this pattern that people were suffering. People were under serious stress, pressure, physical, mental, emotional, away from their loved ones. And still, very few of them, rarely, seldom, someone was thinking of dying or committing suicide because this force of life was so strong. That's what he feels in all of us, that we seek hope, we find hope, we survive on hope, and we find reasons to stay alive, to thrive for the days when we'll again be free, and so on. And he wrote this book called Men's Search for Meaning, which I think every person should read whenever you feel like reading this. Earlier, the better. I don't see many people now into this hobby of reading. Maybe I'm wrong, and I would like to be wrong here. He said this, that the input which we get, like in terms of vision and sounds and everything which comes from outside to us, and our response to that thing. So here are two things. Example, you are talking to me, it comes to me, I hear that, I decode that, and then I respond to that. Okay, so that's number two. And now this is
Right.
between one and two. There is a gap which I have inside me, and that gap is my freedom. And in that gap, in that freedom, I can decide how to respond. So I'm talking about the inner freedom simply without complicating too much. We seek about the freedom of expressions, freedom of behavior, freedom of wearing clothes and behaving a certain way and talking certain language and everything, or going out, designing, whatever we feel like. And that's where we find some constraints sometimes from the society or school or parents or everyone who is higher authority at that age in the teenage years. And I think that there is a lot of space which is not looked upon, which is not paid attention to, is the inner side. Our thinking is our free thinking space. It cannot be stopped by the outside agencies. It couldn't be stopped, since time immortal. Like Viktor Frankl says that even in the time of prison, when we had all the restriction, we had this inner freedom. And I think those are the times when he could realize that the inner freedom stands. It's your choice to be happy or unhappy. Any situation, outside situation may be. So we'll begin with that by first understanding what is inner freedom. And when I say remodeling, the reason is that our model of freedom is very constrained and we seek for everything outside. When we remodel it, we turn inward. So you can say it's an inward thinking, because everything outside ends inside. How we begin from inside and let it end outside. So it's an inward thinking. So that's kind of a gist of this remodeling freedom topic.
So, according to you, freedom is all about the thought process which you have within you. It's nothing related to what an outer person is allowing you to do. It's about your own inner allowance within
Yes.
us, right? That's what you're
And
trying
may
to.
happen and may happen that when we begin from inside by doing the right kind of thinking, it gets manifested into the outside as well in a due course of time.
Right, right, right,
So inside is easy to change, easy to upgrade, and that's when we should begin. Instead of trying hard on the outside and failing and then thinking that nothing is possible, So we feel that this is an easier hack to change the outer by working
right.
from the inside.
Right, exactly. Okay, that's really nice. So, people, freedom is not about what looks outside, it's all about what's within you, right? Moving on, next, Jagat, how do you achieve this? How do you achieve this inner sense of freedom within you?
By learning to think, and unfortunately our schools don't have that in curriculum subject called thinking. And Sakshi has a wonderful piece of information here about why thinking is important and why everything important requires thinking. Sakshi, please, if you can share
Yes,
that story.
Okay, so thinking has no boundaries, but they're created by people around us, and we have adapted that into our mindsets, which is wrong. And very few people have realized that and are spreading awareness about the same. So I'm going to be relating this uh, to help teenagers realize what their true career could be. So first of all, um, finding a career for ourselves is the most hardest thing, and I'm pretty sure many of you have experienced that. So if we have the freedom to think, we know how our future is going to be, because we need to find happiness and purpose in everything we do. So first of all, we should start by setting goals. Setting our mind to something that we want to achieve will help us in a short and a long term. So that is one thing we should do. And also plan your day. We have made on Mindscape, we have made many videos that tell the audience how to schedule and how scheduling is helping us in our daily lives. If we have the freedom to think, if we know the ways we can think. Trust me, the future is ours. Ask why and what if, because why represents purpose. If we have a purpose behind doing something, we have a aim, because if there is no aim, where will we shoot? And happiness, and I'm sorry, one second. um, and what if represents options. If we ask if I ask a narrow minded person that what if we could time travel, what they would say is that that is impossible. Don't think of things that are not going to happen. That is what pushes us back. So if we look at all the opportunities, that through all the perspectives, we know that we have the freedom to think. As I said, boundary there are no boundaries to thinking. They are set by people around us. So we must break that boundary, because there is a lot we don't know about this world, about ourselves, which we must know through freedom to think.
Wow, well said, Sakshi. So,
Thank you.
your takeaway for me at least is that we need to break the boundaries and we
Yeah,
need to get boundaryless rather than having a boundary around us towards our thinking and even our daily life. Thanks a lot. That was
yeah.
a really good insight by you.
Thank you.
How about what about habits, Sakshi? How will habits help you? Because whatever you said that you need to break the boundaries. You spoke about goals and you spoke about career, but there is something called habit, your daily stuff which you do every day. The youth of today, which is not understanding the importance of habit. So how will you talk about that to them?
Okay, so
I
I want to
think
start by saying that,
I
yeah,
think before we jump to this habit, because I think before that there's one little thing which I would like to add,
Yes,
and
yes,
this banner says resource,
yes,
and
yes.
I'll speak something about resource, and then Sakshi can begin with the habit
Okay,
side.
sure, sure.
Um,
Yes, Jagat.
my reason for writing this resources is that I have seen observed that first of all we do not know what resources are, and I'll clarify that it's everything which is available to us, and we don't you know necessarily notice everything. Example, we all have some time. How we use it is up to us. We all have some physical health, better, lower, anything, and we can work on
Right,
it. We all have people around us, people who help us, support us. They are our resources. We have financial wealth, depending upon, that could be different, but it is a very respectable resource. And the more we respect it, the more it will grow, hopefully. And there are many more. And we don't think them in terms of our resources. Now, imagine we start thinking about them. This thinking continues, and it's a resource thinking. Then first thing which comes to our mind is the respect for every resource that we have. We should have gratitude for those things. And that's why we recommend writing gratitude journals, because everything around you happening is almost happening automatically, the most of the things. The
right,
friends are not a process. Friends happen automatically. It's a nature which give us, friends. And sometimes we don't value them. We should pay the gratitude consciously. That's number two, very important. And after that, we should utilize all these resources in very conscious manner, with respect, with gratitude.
right,
And when I say that consciously utilize, it also means we should not let it be wasted unconsciously. And we all know how time can be wasted. So we can, at least be conscious about it and work around it. And when this process begins in our minds that everything is a resource and I should be respectful and I should utilize it in the best possible manner, because they are like outputs into our system, our world. And out of these resources, what we create, that's our output. So it's a very simple mechanical word that there are inputs and there are outputs. Now, if we are a good converter, we will convert all these resources into wonderful something, a creative way of
right,
utilizing all the resources. And if we are not, trained to, or we are not conscious about converting these resources into something good, something bad will come.
Right. Absolutely.
So when we think about that thing, we think that time is the biggest resource, and how we utilize that thing. There's one way is to be a person of very good schedule, and it's possible to miss the target when you write something on the schedule. It's possible that you might not hit that thing at that point of time, but like Sakshi mentioned, that if you have a target, you will know how much you have missed. Otherwise, it's a blind shot.
Right.
So making schedule is very important. It's okay to fail, because I feel that many people don't make it because they are afraid to fail. Okay, even if I make a schedule, I might not be able to follow. So why should I make it? But I think that's a
You
very
can't,
small,
they are scared to put the checklist. They are scared to
yeah.
put the tick next to the schedule.
And in that first thing I will mention before handing over to Sakshi is that use the calendar only, and all the to do, all the work shouldn't be on a separate list of to do, important or unimportant. This is a very wonderful trick I've recently learned, is that put all the to do things on the schedule, date and time,
Right.
because things that get scheduled gets done. It's, I think, some of the productivity gurus have mentioned this. So every to do item, if they are on the calendar, you may miss them. You can replace them, but they'll be on the calendar. They'll remind you at this time I'll be doing this thing. If you have a to do list, I know it stays there for 6 months, nothing gets done. And that brings us to scheduling our days, which comes
Right.
to our routine, which Sakshi can mention very well, the morning and the sleep routine.
Right. Yes, Sakshi.
I'll start with the morning ritual, which I have been following for a while now, and I got inspired from my dad because he did it himself. So, first, when we wake up, people are more likely to check their phone even before they open
Right.
their eyes, which is quite wrong. Teenagers these days have phones, including myself. But over the lockdown period, I realized what I must use it for. Instead of just social media, I use it for my education purposes. I use it to contact people. And it's not just about having a phone, it's about the way you use it because it is going to help you. It's all automatic. So when you wake up, first rub your palm, put it over your eyes because that is that actually feels pretty good. And it is really essential to make sure that your eyes are not stressed in the morning. When you first wake up, start by drinking a glass of water. My mom has taught me that, and I've been doing that for many years, and that really helps. It makes sure that your body is awake and don't straight away check your phone. What I like to do personally is keep it aside, do all the essential stuff like I make my schedule in the morning, I take a shower, have breakfast, and once I start studying and then when it's over, that's when I take my time to check my phone because I'm young and I don't really have a job. If my dad checks his phone in the morning, I understand because it is his job and it is important, not as important as social media. And instead of people usually work out in the morning, they go for morning walks, but the best thing you can do if you're lazy is that stretch your body, make sure you're warmed up and your body is awake. So that way, if you follow this for a long period, this is going to help you a lot, and you don't really have to put much efforts into this. It's quite easy and everyone can do this. So you should follow this kind of morning ritual, and it's also on our Mindscape account, so you can check that out once. Second comes night ritual. So, first of all, when you take a shower before falling asleep, make sure you take a cold shower. Mostly people take hot showers, but it's actually better if you take cold showers. My dad, in fact, told me this, and if I had a habit of taking hot showers, but then I gradually took both hot and cold showers, which made me more fluent with taking cold showers, and it's really helpful. So I know many of you must have heard that no screen before falling asleep, 1 hour before falling asleep. And
Right.
I hated that kind of rule. I was like, I don't like, I don't want to keep 1 hour gap between that. So I used to watch YouTube videos, Netflix like this close My ipad was this close to me, and that really affects your dreams and the quality of your sleep. So before you fall, so I like to draw sometimes, like to draw. I like to reorganize things 1 hour before falling asleep, so I'm not looking at my screen and wasting my time. Um, After that, as my father mentioned, gratitude journal. State at least 5 to 10 things that you're grateful for. You might not really like this kind of practice, but it is really important to understand what the value of things are. I realized the value of school once this lockdown started, and now I want to go to school again. After that, when you're falling asleep, play some soft music in the before falling asleep. Play like a piano music going on in the background, because it's a really good way to fall asleep and stay calm. I like to listen to loud music in the night time, but soft music helps us get a better quality of sleep.
Better quality.
Yeah,
So, Sakshi, this was really wonderful, and I am very, very glad that we have a teenager talking about this today live, so that other teenagers who, by chance, even if they watch this later, they understand that it's not about the father and mother telling them to do this. Most of them are told to do this, but they do not. But we have over here a teenager who's actually practicing. So really, kudos to you, Sakshi. I'm really happy that
thank you.
you're doing this, and I also follow this. So gratitude journal is always there with me. So this is a really great practice, and it is going to really take you to places if you continue with
Thank you.
this. So now, Jagat, can you just speak about how, after all this cleanup and after all this, where are we leading to?
There's one thing which I would like to add, and it's almost revolutionary, provided it is practiced, because that's why it almost comes in. Is that there are certain habits, certain traits which are in the negative zone. Okay, we all of us have. It could be bad habits, it could be eating junk food, or for adults, it could be consuming some addictive substances, and so on. Now, for the whole life, we keep fighting with these things that I want to get rid of this thing. And we see that it ends up into failure most of
Right.
the time. And
Yes.
there are heavy books written on creating habits and everything, and they are all scientific and they are all respectable. There's one thing very small we can do, and that will probably take care of a large part of this issue, is that allocate time for these negative habits. And before you allocate time, respect all these negative sides, because negative is a relative term. There is nothing negative, there is nothing positive. Sometimes some things are negative, but over a period of time they become positive. History has mentioned that. So
Yes.
with that notion, we should give a large, you know, perspective to this thing, like a zoomed out version of the whole thing, the whole life. And then the negative things which I would like to mention here is that they come out of our subconscious mind. And there is certain need, certain reason for having these negative habits, any negative habit. They come from us. There is a deep root, and we cannot fight something which has a deep root. Even if you fight, it will grow again. So, and since I say it comes from us, from deep within, we should respect all these negative sides honestly, not to pretend that I respect, but actually you should respect these things. They are sometimes they are windows for our ventilation. When we do these things, negative things repeatedly, they give us something. And because we condemn these things, we end up feeling negative and guilty about committing those things. When you
Right.
begin with respect, something happens, some sort of biochemical change inside you. Start to feel some sort of peace, because now no more the enemy is pushing the door, and you are holding that door from your side, and the whole life, the energy gets drained in that thing. When you make peace, it's like flagging the white flag, that there is peace now. I give you your time, and you leave me alone for the rest of my time. So treat it as a friend who is a little annoying sometimes, but it's a friend. It will keep coming back to you even if you fight with it. So truce, respect, give it allocated time on the schedule. And when you do that, it stops bugging you throughout your day. Example that few of my friends, all of them, have habit of checking the phone every now and then. Even when you're discussing something, even
Okay.
moments like this when they're online, they would quickly sneak in, check. Now there's a remedy. You respect that thing because there is some urge to connect with friends and everything every now and then, which is good, I think. You respect that and you say that now my work is going on. I will check my phone at 5 p.m. sharp and I will give 5 minutes, I will give 10 minutes to scroll through all the notifications and then some random browsing, scrolling up, as we keep on doing with our fingers. So I have allocated those 10 minutes, starting 5 minutes. My brain will quiet down. The energy drain stops. And I diligently follow up. At 5 p.m., I will check. And then 10 minutes,
Right.
I'll put it away. And I said again that after at 7 p.m., I'll check again. And so on. Everyone can have their policy, their strategy to handle this thing. But you need to respect your negative sides, your negative habits. You need to allocate time and you need to follow up. And those are the remedies to make a lot of white space, a lot of positive space. I can go on, but I'll stop now because we will now. I think there's a so that's about positive side. When you make that space for negative side, you make space for positive side. It's a lot of
Positive side
space,
as well.
right? And then like she mentioned, there all the routine things of routines. The morning and the sleep routine is very important. And when you start practicing, they get into this routine, kind of a circle, and they automatically starts happening. You don't need to push yourself, and there's some joy out of those things. Initially, you might find that why am I writing journal when you begin that thing, but then you realize after a few sessions that there's so much joy in sharing things, intimately with a diary, and yeah, that's it. I think then the first point which I mentioned is that there is no separate to-do list. Put every to-do on the calendar. Calendar is a magical thing if you know how to use it.
Right. So I remember one of the videos of Sakshi on her Instagram page of Mindscape, wherein she talks about, as you said, that you are supposed to you are supposed to address your negativity as well, rather than just pushing it off. I remember she has said that you have to give a certain time in a day for those negative thoughts to come. Sit
Yes.
and just recall that, okay, what I'm feeling negative about this particular thing for that much time, and then it's off. Then after that you're not thinking. So you're supposed to even schedule your negative thoughts in a day, so that
Hmm.
you do not you do not carry forward those negative thoughts in the later part of the day, right,
And
Sakshi?
Yeah.
there's a
So
funny
I
line by one of the performer. I'm sorry, I might forgot, so I'll mention that. There's a funny thing which one of the performers said that before going on the stage, he was a performer and he was on the stage all the time. So when he said when you enter the stage, there are butterflies flying in the stomach,
right.
right? You don't stop those butterflies flying in the stomach. You give them direction. So I like that line, so I thought
Yes.
I'll share.
Right, exactly. So uh, in the end, we finally, whatever freedom, whatever we have spoken about, leads to goals and targets. So Jagat, could you just put some light on that?
Uh, I have seen in all the schools, I'm sorry, all is a big word, but let me use it for now. There's a goal, you know, reading goals and study goals and so on. So, and it's good, it's good. Problem is that it's not enough. And the reason comes from neuroscience that just by setting random goals, it is not going to go anywhere. And all our, people who have gone through this goal setting exercise will vouch that it usually fails. There are, a few geeks who would kind of hit those targets, but apart from that, all of us, the rest of normal ones, are not able to. Why? Because the goals have to be filtered through a system which neurolinguistic programming has wonderfully mentioned. You can find it on internet, and someday we'll do a session on that as well. And the acronym is SMART, SMART. So I'll quickly go through it.
Hmm.
S stands for simple.
Yes.
M is for measurable. So a goal needs to be simple. A goal needs to be measurable. A goal needs to be as if now. So it affects your physiology and your mentality. You feel that you have achieved the goal, and that physiology will make you achieve the goal. R is for realistic. So you don't set stupid goals, which finally you fail, and then it gives a negative notion that I'm not able to achieve. So it has to be realistic, and it has to be timely. So you say specific in terms of on this date or in this month, I will achieve these goals. Random goals don't follow because uh, our subconscious mind is um, designed in such a way. That's what we have observed, and it's still kind of a mystery. But whatever we have observed, one of them is that it likes to serve you if you give specific instructions. So just like there is a force of minions Gru had in that movie, Despicable Me. It's a very good analogy of conscious mind, that is Gru, and the subconscious mind, that is the force of minion. They were very simple-hearted people, and when Guru says certain thing, like we're going to the moon, they will take it and they'll work on it. They don't doubt. So that's the same thing with subconscious mind, that it doesn't doubt you. If you say that I'm going to fall, they will say, okay, Guru wants to fall, let's fall.
Right.
And if you say you're going to the moon, then they will work everything to make sure that you reach on the moon.
Right.
So it's a magical thing, and we need to learn how to use our conscious and subconscious mind to set the goals and make sure that we progress every step of the way. There is a feedback system as well, and gradually you will know that if you need to modify these goals and targets, you should be flexible enough. It's not life or death situation. The minor tweaking editing is required as you progress. It's like a rocket flying through the space to reach Mars. Moon is too close now, so let's go to Mars. And if you know the science, the rocket never is pointing straight to the moon. Never. Okay, mark my word. It is always going off the target. Always. And there is a correction system which keeps correcting the path. It's called course correction. And it's almost like going off the target all the time, but finally it reaches to the target. So that's the same thing with goal setting exercises, that you might find yourself going off the course, but that's a good thing. If you observe, you'll bring yourself back on the course and keep progressing forward.
Right.
So, so there's a wonderful process which we can share eventually about goal setting, and it's very important because, like Sakshi mentioned, that if you don't set a goal, you don't know where you are going. It's like a man hurriedly came to the ticket window of a train station and he said, "Give me a ticket quickly. I'm in a hurry." And the ticket clerk said that, "To where?" He said, "I don't care, anywhere." So you don't know where you're going. You could be going anywhere. But if you know where you're
Right.
going, and even if you fail, there is a very nice feedback that you will know how much you have, gone off the target.
Right.
And that is a lesson. So when you want to learn and grow, it's very important to set goals, realistic goals. And as you go on achieving these smaller goals, the confidence grows, the wisdom grows, and it just kind of unfolds into an exponentially happy life.
Right. So, finally, putting a conclusion to whatever we spoke about or we heard from you about the thought process, about the resources and the cleanup which we need to do, the goals and targets which we have. So, how would you define freedom now to the audience in just a line, maybe? So, one liner we might have some takeaway from Jagat and some from Sakshi. So, what do you give the audience to take away?
Sakshi.
We can Sakshi would like to go first for a takeaway. What,
Sure.
according to you, finally is remodeling of freedom?
I, according to me, I think remodeling freedom is just changing the way people think about everything, honestly, because the society before it was very narrow-minded. Now it is a little better, but you don't have boundaries. There are no boundaries. If you think I can't think to that extent, you're wrong. We all are super smart and superhumans, in fact. These boundaries are in our mindsets which need to be broken. And if you follow all these tips and tricks that we shared in this live session, you will be far better than where you are right now. And so, yeah, break the boundaries because there are no boundaries.
Great, great. So break the boundaries because there are no boundaries.
Boundaries.
That's what
Yeah.
the takeaway Sakshi gives us. So, Jagat, a takeaway from you, please. What is
I'll uh,
remodeling of freedom, according to you,
I'll give
finally?
I'll give a quote which I posted today and I liked it and I feel everyone should know about it. It's by George Bernard Shaw. He was, I think, an Englishman, playwright, and a very good author, very good thinker. That's the most important thing. And he said this, that the reasonable man adapts himself to the world. Now, himself or herself, equal, okay? The reasonable man or woman adapts himself or herself to the world. The unreasonable man persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. It's a reverse approach. And therefore, he says that all progress depends on the unreasonable man. So, adding to what Sakshi said, that accepting the boundaries and the way of thinking which we are accustomed to, you will not reach anywhere. If you want to get ahead, get somewhere, be yourself, then I think independent and original thinking is required. And I think thinking as a subject should be studied by every individual, every human on this planet. And there are
Right.
wonderful books available to initiate that thing. First is the belief that I can think and I think all the time should be, discarded, because it's a process. It needs to be learned deliberately and then practice. And it's a wonderful process, I think. And everything begins by thinking in the right direction.
Oh, so we have a takeaway over here, audience. Everything begins at the thinking in the right direction, and there is a process for thinking. You can learn how to think and then how to lead your life. So, thank you so much, both of you all, for sharing such valuable information with us. Sakshi, I am really proud to know that the Youth Brigade is so affirmative like you, and I look forward to seeing you touching many lives like you. And
Thank you.
Jagat,
Thank you
it
for
is
having me.
great to see you remodeling the youth this way. This is really a definition of freedom in parenthood. We always take parenthood as creating boundaries for children, but I can see over here as a father how you have actually broken the boundaries for your child to grow. So, really, a great effort by you as a parent as well for your child.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, my joy to be able to help and share whatever I feel about the world. And if I'm wrong, I like feedback. So I'm
Sure.
also learning along with these young people.
And so here, me, Hetal, closing off the session here. Please follow Mindscape Coach on Instagram and Facebook and know more about this world of humanity. Next Friday, I shall be back with yet another expert who is going to talk about nutrition. Now, let me tell you, it is not going to be a boring session where she is going to speak about what to eat and what not to eat. It's going to be something different. So stay tuned and see you all on next Friday. Have a great weekend ahead. Thank you, Jagat, and thank you, Sakshi.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Bye.